Hello guys, Adam here from Adam Peer Reviews, and today I'm bringing you another book review. And in today's review we'll be looking at The Crimson Campaign by Brian McClellan. As you can see, this is not a book, it's an iPad, because I read the book as an ebook and don't have a physical copy to hold up to show you. So I thought I'd just get the image on my iPad and hopefully that'll do for now. And it probably, well, you can see my computer screen flashing in it a little bit, but I hope that's okay for you. What's the book about? So the book is split up into three main plot lines based around three different characters. The first of these is Field Marshal Tamas, who in the last book overthrew the King of Adra and crowned himself as the new military leader. Because he disposed of the king, Adra is now at war with Kez, which is the neighbouring kingdom. Though the Adran army is really well trained and disciplined, the Kez army is absolutely huge and they have a lot more men. Tamas learns of a secret way in which he can outflank his enemy, and takes his two best brigades and his powder mages, which are basically sorcerers that can use gunpowder to float bullets, round a canyon and tries to outflank his enemy. But the field marshal soon finds out he's been betrayed by one of his closest generals and ends up stuck behind enemy lines with no easy way to get home. Tamas and his men must fight their way through enemy territory to get back to Adra and get back to the war against the Kez. The second plotline is that of Taniel, who is Tamas' son. Taniel is probably the most gifted powder mage in the entire Adran army, and in the last book, or at the end of the last book, he shot a god and believed he'd killed it. The memory of killing a god and the danger he put his friends in doing so has really affected Taniel's mind, and he tries to drown out these memories by taking drugs in a maladen, which is basically like a heroin or a poppy den. I forgot what you call them. Opium den, that's what I meant. However, when a new form of assassin is sent to kill Taniel by the Kez, he realizes that the killing the god has given him new powers and that he's much more powerful than he was a few weeks ago. Taniel decides to return to the army as he thinks it's the place where he can serve his country best. But when he gets there, he finds that the army is not what it was like when his father ruled. Taniel finds that he isn't the golden boy of the Adran army anymore and must face up to the new general leading the army, General Ket. But with defeat after defeat, Taniel suspects that there is something very unusual about Ket and decides to probe deeper into her past. Finally, Inspector Adamat is on the search for his kidnapped children, being kidnapped by the traitor and royalist Lord Vites, who wishes to see Adra return to a kingdom, or to the old king. Adamat knows that the only way he can get his children back is to face the threat head on. However, when he learns Lord Vites has a privilege, which is basically a very powerful sorcerer who can manipulate the elements, he has to look into Adra's past to find an ally and try and be the Lord Vites. I cannot stress how good this book and this series is. I read the first one called The Promise of Blood probably like 3 years ago now, and I remember being totally addicted to it, but at the time I wasn't really into reviewing that much, so I never got around to reviewing it. This book, The Crimson Campaign, totally picks up on that pace that leaves off in The Promise of Blood, and as a fantasy book and as a fantasy fan, I think it was absolutely amazing. I think this is mostly because of the setting that McClellan puts his characters in. In most fantasy novels, it's not set in a kind of medieval castle and kingdom kind of place. It's more industrial and always reminds me of the French Revolution, so like the 18th century. He immerses the reader in a very unstable and kind of unpredictable place, which is Adra, because it has just overthrown its king and no one really knows what's going to happen, and you get that feel of that kind of dirty, smelly city, which is Adalpest, which is the capital of Adra. And I really like that feeling because I'm such a massive kind of nerd about the French Revolution. I think it's awesome that McClellan has made Tamas into an almost Napoleon type of character, even giving the army like the blue coats, which the French army had in the 18th century or the 19th century. He then adds in magic like most fantasy novels do, but he makes it different by making it about powder mages and privileged. So making a powder mage is totally dependent on gunpowder, and basically what they have to do is they sniff it or they eat it, and it gives them like a heightened sense and basically makes them high, but makes it so that they can maneuver bullets and float them through the air and makes them very efficient as killers in the army. And obviously in this setting of war and muskets and bayonets, that's just like an organic idea that I've never seen before in fantasy novels. I highly recommend this book, The Crimson Campaign. It's such a good read, but definitely read the first book first, called The Promise of Blood. So here's the cover again. I'm already reading The Autumn Republic, which is the final book in the trilogy. This is the second book, and I'm about 150 pages in. Absolutely loving it. Again, picks up the pace where this book left off, kind of leaves you on a bit of a kind of cliffhanger, but it makes you want to pick up the next book and read it, because you just want to know like what is going to happen, how is it all going to change, because you know that the next book is the final one, and it makes you think, how is the author going to pull all these characters back together, pull all these plot lines back together. And yeah, it's just a book that I think if you're a fantasy fan, or if you want to get into fantasy, you should definitely check it out. So there you go, guys. That was my review of The Crimson Campaign by Brian McClellan. I hope I pronounced his name right, because I always seem to spell it wrong. It's all the L's in it that confuse me. If you like my review, please remember to give it a thumbs up on the little box below, which I think is down there. Yeah, always give it a like, because it always helps new people find me, and yeah, it just lets me know that I'm making content that people like to watch. If you would like to see more videos from me, either more book reviews, comic reviews, or Lego unboxings, or any other unboxings and a few other videos that I've got planned, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope you all have a good day, night, or whatever it is, wherever you are in the world.